When a promise becomes a puzzle. Côte d'Ivoire, presidential term limits, and the African crisis of power. They say a man's word is his bond. But in African politics, promises too often become puzzles, twisted, stretched, and broken in the name of national interest. And so here we are again. In a time when Africa cries out for generational change, when youth line the streets of every capital demanding dignity, justice, and opportunity, we are forced to ask, why do some of our leaders refuse to leave? Why do they treat power as inheritance instead of service? On October 25, 2025, Côte d'Ivoire will hold its presidential election. The man who currently leads the nation has made his decision. He will run again. Despite having once promised to step down, to hand the torch to a younger generation, he has now reversed course. His reason? National stability. His justification? The Constitution allows it. His claim? His health and experience are still needed. But the question we must ask today, loudly and clearly, is this. At what cost does continuity come? And who truly benefits when term limits become flexible tools instead of firm boundaries? This is Voice of Africa, and today we dissect a moment that speaks volumes, not just for Côte d'Ivoire, but for an entire continent standing at the crossroads of democratic progress and political stagnation. Before we go deeper, hit that like button so this critical conversation reaches as many people as possible. What we discuss today is not just news, it's the future of Africa. The president's speech was polished and deliberate. He opened with reminders of constitutional order, democratic maturity, and peaceful elections. He assured the nation that the 2025 vote would be free, fair, and transparent. He reminded Ivorians of the stability enjoyed under his leadership, of peace, economic growth, and security. But it didn't take long for the pivot to appear. After recounting months of appeals from citizens, women, youth, elders, from the towns, villages, and cities, he declared what many feared. Yes, I am a candidate. And with those words, a storm was unleashed. Let's be honest. Côte d'Ivoire is not alone. Across the continent, we've seen this pattern too many times. Leaders promise to step aside, then find excuses to stay. Constitutions are revised, court rulings are bent, parliaments are pressured, and the people, especially the youth, are told to wait. Again. But this isn't just about one country. It's about the dangerous precedent being normalized in Africa, the erosion of term limits. When leaders ignore these limits, they weaken democratic institutions. They send a message that power is a personal asset, not a national trust. And even worse, they inspire resentment, frustration, and political instability. They plant the seeds of disillusionment. And those seeds too often grow into something deadly, military coups. We must speak plainly now. The refusal of leaders to respect term limits is directly linked to the rise of unconstitutional regime changes. Burkina Faso, Mali, Guinea, Niger. These countries didn't fall overnight. Their democratic fabric unraveled after years of elite arrogance, broken promises, and the collapse of electoral credibility. And now, as Côte d'Ivoire walks this same tightrope, the question becomes urgent. How long before the people stop trusting ballots and start looking to barracks? Let's be very clear. Voice of Africa does not endorse coups. Military rule is not the answer to civilian failure, but we must understand cause and effect. When leaders close the door to democratic succession, they open the window to military intervention. And where is the African Union in all this? Where is ECOWAS, the regional bloc meant to uphold peace and democratic principles in West Africa? They raise their voices when soldiers take over. But where are those voices when presidents bend constitutions? Where are the sanctions, the condemnations, the real consequences for civilian leaders who abuse the system? There is a dangerous hypocrisy here. ECOWAS threatens force when juntas seize power, but whispers when term limits are manipulated. The AU calls for order only after the house is burning. If these institutions truly believe in democracy, then they must act before the collapse, not after. Back to Côte d'Ivoire. The president's speech was not without merit. He spoke of regional insecurity, of economic uncertainty, of his duty to safeguard the nation during a volatile time. He promised a new team, generational transmission, and deeper development. These are important issues, but are they reasons to break a promise? Remember, in March 2020, he explicitly declared his intention to hand over power to a younger generation. That promise gave hope. It gave vision. It aligned with the dreams of countless young Ivorians who want to lead, to build, to reshape their country. Now that promise is dust in the wind. His argument hinges on experience. But experience, while valuable, is not irreplaceable. No one is. Leadership is not about holding on. It's about preparing others to lead. That is true legacy. And if this new mandate is about transition, then why not oversee it from outside the presidency? Why not become a mentor, a counselor, a statesman above the fray? Africa is brimming with brilliant young minds. They are ready. They are capable. But when elders refuse to let go, they trap entire nations in generational paralysis. And that is the slow death of progress. Let us zoom out for a moment. From Uganda to Cameroon, Congo to Equatorial Guinea, we have watched leaders stay in power for decades. And what has it brought? Corruption, repression, stunted growth, brain drain. Young Africans fleeing not just poverty, but suffocating systems where their dreams have no place. Is this the model Côte d'Ivoire wants to follow? Or will Ivorians rise, as they have before, and demand something better? The 2025 election is a test, not just of one man's ambition, but of a nation's soul. Will it be peaceful? Yes, perhaps. But will it be truly democratic if the outcome feels predetermined? If the sitting president runs against candidates without the same institutional advantage? Real democracy is not just about voting. It's about choice, trust, and respect for the rules. We at Voice of Africa call on the African Union and ECOWAS to do more than observe elections. It is time they enforce constitutionalism with equal passion as they denounce coups. If a leader overstays his term, if he rewrites the rules to suit himself, then he is no different from those who seize power with guns. Power is power, whether taken in uniform or in a suit. Let us not be fooled by ceremonial legality. Let us look at the spirit of the law, not just the letter. Term limits are the foundation of renewal. Without them, democracy becomes dynasty. And to the people of Côte d'Ivoire, your voice matters. Not just in elections, but in public discourse, in civic spaces, in every peaceful protest, every post on social media, every radio call-in. Demand accountability. Demand generational inclusion. Demand that promises be kept. Africa cannot move forward if we are always repeating the same story. So we ask you, what kind of Africa do you want? One where leaders pass the torch, or one where they burn it? One where youth are empowered, or one where they are silenced? One where regional bodies enforce democracy, or one where they only react when it's too late? The future of Côte d'Ivoire is being written right now, and its ink is not permanent. It can still be rewritten with courage, with clarity, and with conviction. This is your moment, Africa. Stand tall, speak loud, and never forget that power belongs to the people, not to those who cling to it. Thank you for joining us. This is Voice of Africa. Share this video. Subscribe. Let the message ring across the continent. The revolution may not be televised, but it will be heard.